Point of business. First thing tomorrow morning is the intro video needs to be updated. Ruben Amorim will not be bringing the glory days to Manchester United because he has been sacked as manager. Very, very busy day, guys, in terms of Manchester United news. As I'm sure you're all aware, Ruben Amorim was sacked at 10 a.m. this morning by the hierarchy, the powers that be. And since then, we've had a plethora of information, of news, of rumors, of potential replacements pop up by a number of different outlets. So we're going to go through it. We've got a full house tonight. We've got Oisín, we've got Ben, we've got Chris, and we've got Desi, all here to give their opinions on what happened and where we stand as a club, and are we going back to square one? As always, we want to hear your thoughts as well, guys. So get them in to the live chat. We're going to be going through as much of your comments as well. Smash a like in the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Right, boys, I suppose we'll just jump into it. Oisín, you're on my direct left, right, as we're looking at it on screen. Ruben Amorim sacked. I suppose the first real question for everybody, and we'll start with you, is relief or regret?
I think we'll know after Wednesday night, really, whether it's relief or regret. I think it's telling that after 14 months of mixed results on the pitch, he makes one statement in a post-match presser, and the next morning he's out the door. Now, look, we're going to get to it in a minute, but apparently there was a meeting Friday with Wilcox at Carrington, and they kind of questioned his style of play and whatever else. And apparently he got emotional, and there was a couple of words expressed, and apparently they knew he was going to get the bullet on Friday. If that's the case, why not pull the trigger on Friday? Why go into the game on Sunday against Leeds with a dead man walking? I don't buy that. Well, I don't buy that he was going to get the bullet on Friday. I think it was after he came out last night and questioned the board and questioned hierarchy, his days were numbered. Because if it was a footballing style thing, he would have gone after the Europa final. I mean, yeah. I think we can all agree that's one of the worst games we've ever seen collectively as United fans since we started supporting United. So I don't think it's footballing terms he's gone on. I think it's purely a breakdown relationship, especially with Wilcox. Again, reports coming out that he wasn't Wilcox's choice for the job. And if we're going to get into Ineos being a collective and being on the same page, why was that? Why did they bring in someone who was so rigidly stuck to a 3-4-3 when they wanted someone who was able to adapt to their style? A lot of questions we never get the answer to. But to come back to the original question, relief or regret, I think we'll know on Wednesday and see how Fletcher gets on in the first game. It's Burnley, new manager, interim manager bounce. All we can do is see how it goes, but I don't think we'll actually have an answer till after a few games and see where it goes.
Well, Ben, look, Oisín has mentioned there, about it's probably not a footballing decision because, we've had Grimsby, we've had Wolves, we've had the Europa League final. There's been plenty of things there that you could say, right, this is the reason. But it seemed to have happened so fast that it's, would you agree with Oisín that it's probably not based around a footballing decision and it's more so maybe a bit of a fallout between the powers that be?
I'd say so for definite, because you can remember in October, what did Radcliffe say? He's here for 3 years. You've got to give him chance, haven't you? If they're going to say that and then look what they've done, you get a new manager in, he's going to be like, oh, they gave me a job for 3 years. But wait a minute, he lasted a week.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating more than anything, isn't it? It's back to square one again.
Yeah, it is. It is 100%. Desi, I'll come to you last. I'll go to Chris first. Because like Ben is mentioning there that, the optics don't look good for any maybe potential manager. And we'll get on to new managers in a little while. But you're seeing such an easy fallout between manager and board. Does it bode well for any potential manager coming in the future? All of these questions need to be asked. But look, give me your overarching feeling on it at the moment. You weren't too happy in the group chat today. And yeah, give us your reasons why.
Me or him?
You, sorry. Yeah,
okay.
you.
I didn't know which one.
No, we're leaving the fireworks to the end.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm not happy with it because, I did some research last night and, and I looked at it. If you go through all 20 Premier League teams and the number of points we drop from winning positions, we go to fourth and that's it. We move up 2 spots. Okay. So it's not like an overwhelming, hey, we're going to be in a title race, because this whole discussion about, we're dropping points. Well, everybody drops points. And if you look at it as a whole, we're not going to be second. We're not in the title race, because even looking at it, I mean, I don't know where I put my paper. There it is.
I get the league table up here. Go on, keep going.
But with that being said, with us being fourth, we have 43 points, and Arsenal and Man City would have 50 and 49 if you go for winning positions. Now, I know you can take all those stats, you can move them and shake them and everything like that. But here's the thing, and I look at it this way: from the reports that come out, and I know OC mentioned it, is that he wasn't Wilcox's choice, and I agree with that. I mean, I read the same things, I heard the same things, listened to the same things. But here's the thing, if you're not Wilcox's choice, and we've all talked about how Amorim didn't want to adapt, and everything like that, and go to a back 4 or do this, then why'd you hire him in the first place? This if you can't all agree on it, then why did you hire him in the first place? I'm pretty sure, and I agree with. I listened to Rio Ferdinand this morning with Stephen Houston and crew, and Rio said that every time you talk to him, Amorim's very honest. He's very poignant. He tells you his thoughts, what he wants, how he wants to do it. And I'm pretty sure in the meeting at the very beginning when they interviewed him, he told him, "I'm going to play a 3-4-3. This is the way I do it. This is how it's going to go." And they still hired him. Not knowing that, okay, well, maybe we can get him to change, or no, that's not how you do that. Is Jack muted?
Can't hear you, Jack.
Sorry, Chris. Was there an argument to be said there that, and this was mentioned a few times by Amorim, that he was willing to adapt once they got to a certain point, and he would inevitably move away from that 3-4-3 system. I'm only playing devil's advocate here from a board standpoint. Are they looking at it going, hold on now a minute, Ruben, the fucking thing is not working, you should be changing it by now? Maybe. I don't know.
But what's not working? We're sixth in the table at this point, and I know the table's very crowded and everything like that, but we've seen improvements. But how many improvements do you want to make from? He had one window, one real window. I mean, if you want to count last January, I guess you can count that, but we don't ever do business in January. And he's already been told that from reports that I get or read, is that they're not going to make any moves in January. So you're basically going to get stuck with the same team, good and bad and different and everything like that. But he's made improvements. Now, again, has it been perfect? No. Have we shown our ass sometimes in games? Yes. But there's been other teams in the Prem that have showed their ass too. So so we're not the only ones. Maybe we're higher up on the list, but we're not the only ones, and so forth. So I mean, I'm an Amorim fan only because I liked what he did up until now, meaning the discipline, the expectation, the standards that he set, and everything like that. And maybe Darren Fletcher will continue that on. I don't know. I mean, Darren Fletcher was coaching the U18s, for Christ's sake. I know he's a Manchester United player, and and everything like that. And he's been in the club forever and everything. His kids are there, but I got to put this out there. How many players on that team are going to love the fact that his dad is the dad is coaching his 2 sons in the first team?
Yeah, look, I understand that, and look, I've got to give. We're nearly 10 minutes in. I've got to give him a chance to say his piece.
I'm pretty on par with Desi too.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, Desi, you were probably the most disappointed out of us in the group chat today when the news broke. Give us your thoughts, because look, you're obviously not happy with what's happening, and you're probably on Ruben Amorim's side.
I'm not on sides, Jack. I'm just tired of the same scenario happening over and over again. Like, the circus is open again. Mm-hmm. When at what point do we actually as a club don't accept this behaviour from our owners? Because they get a pass every time. I'll tell you what's going to happen now. We're going to get Fletcher in maybe till the summer, sort of saying. We'll get a new manager in. We go through a honeymoon period. It'll flop. It'll go downhill, and we'll change manager again. And there's no real structure, Jack. There's a big problem with Man United, barring managers, tactics, formations, you name it. Players, our team is diabolical, but we have got some good players in. At what point do we as fans not accept this behaviour from our owners? What is their plan for this club? Are they going to bring Manchester United back to the days where we are competing for Champions League spots and competing for the Premier League? What is their ambition for this club? Because that behaviour that they've shown since since they've actually come in, they were probably very lucky to win a couple of major trophies. They haven't won a major trophy since 2013. We're coming into early 2026. They've sacked, I don't know how many managers. And I've seen stats there earlier on today as well, stating all the win percentage ratio and all this absolute. They don't give a flying fuck about any of that, because there's been managers that have done okay, got some good results, looked like they were improving us. They never got the backing, Jack. It's manager after. No, but hold on. It's manager after manager after manager, Jack. It's ridiculous. Like you look at Mikel Arteta in 2020. He went through the Christmas period of 10 matches, losing 9 of them and winning 1. And now look at him, Jack. And then another thing, there should be no manager coming in saying what players they should be buying. Yes, there should be. Because if a manager comes in with his own idea and he believes in his own system that it can work and it will work with the right tools in place, you have to show trust in that manager and you have to back him, Jack. You have to give him that strong sense of trust shown from the board that will then reload onto the players. And they'll have to fucking tie their shoelaces and buck up as well. But we don't. We just, when the shit gets going tough, and, you know, we have no patience anymore because we lost patience a long time ago as Manchester United fans. We hit the panic button and sack the manager. And it takes the limelight away from the owners, Jack. And look, Ineos have done okay. Well done. Well fucking done to you. You've brought in a couple of players. Happy days. There's been no real improvement here. They didn't give the manager the right amount of time to make a substantial change to this club for what it needed. And he hit the panic button. And Ruben Amorim is one of 3 managers who have come out and challenged the hierarchy of this club. And each one of those managers has been thrown under the bus. Because the minute you open your mouth about them, you're gone. But and that brings me back to the point that when one of the Glazers was met on the streets of America, and he was asked to talk, he wouldn't talk, because the minute you point the gun at them, they don't have to speak. They don't have to answer any questions. They don't have to relay back to the fans what their ambitions is for this club. Can anybody in any of the countries in the world that supports Man United please tell me that what is the Glazers doing for Manchester United? Where is their ambition for this club? What are they going to do for us? The only manager to get 15 players was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Jack, he finished 2nd in the league. They sacked him. They haven't backed the manager fully properly. You see Mikel Arteta there now, and back to that statement I made a minute ago. 9 losses, 1 win out of 10. And they stood by him, and they believed in what he was going to do, and they threw a load of players at him, Jack. And now look at him. And he was under hot water last year because they thought they probably should be in the league, but they stuck by him. Look at him now.
Yeah.
Look at the football they're playing, Jack.
Yeah, and I mentioned that in the group chat earlier on. There's the 3 teams at the top of the Premier League at the moment, obviously, are Arsenal, City, and Villa. Them 3 managers basically have full say over who they sign.
And rightly so, Jack. And rightly so. Because it's like you coming down here and taking over a club in Drogheda, and I'm the owner. And I'm saying, Jack, I want you in. I know I've watched your games. I've seen what style of play you play. But guess what? You're not getting any of the players you want.
Yeah. Well, let me.
Here's one. Oh, do you know what? I see a man over here. Jack, I'm after getting this player. But I didn't ask for him. And he doesn't suit what I want to play.
I mean, I understand. I mean, I can go. I full-heartedly agree with Desmond. I agree with that. You know, you can have A, B, and C player. But these are all the players that the manager wants. Maybe player A, you couldn't give him for whatever reason. But at least the manager should have a list of, these are the players that I want. And maybe it can be a collaboration. But ultimately, you got to get the same amount. You got to get the same type of players that the manager wants.
Yeah, look, I think we, like 2 years ago, we were talking about Eric Ten Hag having too much control because he was basically picking who he wanted. You know what I mean? And I think why it's I think one of the reasons why it's taken so long to maybe see this rebuild occur and reach its potential since Sir Alex Ferguson left is because too many managers were given too many opportunities to bring in whoever they wanted. Now, and then you throw in Ed Woodward with that, who just went and, Falcao is available. Let's get him. I think there is an argument for both sides. And I think, like, I absolutely agree, Desi, with what you're saying. A manager should have a say in who he brings in. Should he have all of the say? Probably not. Because, like, if we look at Cunha, Sesko, Lemens, De Ligt, Yoro. These are all players that can play under different styles of manager. I think that's
Jack, they employ Ruben Amorim. He's going to play a 3-4-3 system. You have to back it, Jack.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand.
What did they think was going to happen? That he was going to come in, set up a 3-4-3 system, and all of a sudden we're going to be fucking winning the Premier League? And we're going to be qualifying for Europe straight off the bat. What's the time frame? What's the time frame for these managers to achieve this?
I mean, Thierry Henry said it on the overlap the one time. He said you need at least 3 to 4 transfer windows. You
cannot expect a manager who is actually so inexperienced from his behalf, from the league he's been in. He hasn't got the criteria of some of the bigger managers. So you know what you're going in to get. Now, this is where the plan doesn't come in, Jack, because the Glazers don't have a fucking plan. They never did. They never did.
Is it not fair to say that maybe Ineos do?
Do you know what, Jack? Ineos still have a point to prove. They're in the club of wet. They're in the club of wet day. Let's see how they fare out. I don't want to run a comment on Ineos. Look, I've given them praise for what they've done over the summer, and rightly so. But at the same time, they're in the club of wet day. As far as I'm concerned, Radcliffe's is pulling down the pants of the two Glazers and sniffing their bums. I couldn't give a fuck. As long as them two lads are in the club, Jack, I cannot see a way for us because they don't. I firmly believe this now at this stage. There's plenty of evidence to back it up. We don't have to go through it all. It's there for you you can go on and search it for yourself.
Yeah, but these
owners, if we want to talk about managers being out of their depth, these owners are out of their depth at this club.
Yeah, well, look, I think
this goes against Ineos, though, Jack. I mean, Cameron was their pick, so they picked him.
No, look, I completely understand that, and I do believe that Ineos have got things wrong 100%. And there's 3 main things you can call it. Depending on what side you are, you can say the Ruben Amorim thing. The Ten Hag extension was definitely a mistake, and the Dan Ashworth situation was a mistake. I think, in terms of recruitment, since they've come in, I think they've done very well. If I'm being completely honest, I think the signings we've made have been very, very good signings. I think we've got value for money. From top to bottom. I think you could go, to the Cunhas and the Boomos of the world, but you could also go down to the 1.5 million for Eden Heaven. I think is very good business. Are they perfect? No. Look, I think I'm not surprised he got sacked, if I'm being honest with you. The inconsistencies were there. They were. You know what I mean?
Every manager is going to be inconsistent when they come into Man United.
I understand. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm saying, right, we're 6th in the Premier League. But are we 6th on merit, or are we 6th by default? Because everybody is...
No, but genuinely, so where you're coming from there now, where do you want to be with this squad? And where do you think we deserve to be with this squad? And how far do you think this squad can go, Jack, with the current squad that we have? Like, we sit and we look at the table and we go, we're in 6th place. And we should be in 2nd. And we shouldn't even be in 6th place.
But that's my point. Well, how can Amorim get away with that then?
But look at what he's been given. He hasn't been given experience. He's been given youth. You name a manager that comes in here and with that youth, as good as they're going to be, Euro's a teenager playing minutes in the back. Heaven's a teenager playing minutes in the back. And like Rio said this morning, what's that? Through injury. But you still have to You can buy youth, but you have to have experience on the bench.
Yes,
too,
but we've discussed this in the past. It takes time to add depth.
Okay.
And why not all the time then?
Talk. You're too quiet. Talk. Give us your opinion.
I had popcorn in the microwave. I'm just letting it to go off.
Yeah.
Pause.
The thing is that, like you said, look at the last 4 games. Look at the benches that we've had.
Yeah.
You want to change a game?
Can anyone name the team who finished against Wolves? It was kids. You know what I mean? Can anyone name that team who finished against Wolves? I agree with the guys. He wasn't given enough time.
Yeah.
But I don't think. What has he done the time he's been given at the same time? You know,
That's
I mean,
my
again,
argument.
just playing devil's advocate here. I mean, it's like there's a divide there. Did you draw a line across the middle of that screen there, Jack, and have the pros and the cons on the same side?
No, it's just like what? Like honestly, I just must be different. Well, I am different from every bit lunatic, but like,
No, Desi, you're unique.
We know how bad this
All right, let Oisín land with his point.
Sorry.
All I'm saying is we have seen other managers in the past committed to United haven't deserved to be there, okay, and other clubs in the league. I think Amorim was on borrowed time this season. I genuinely do. I think that the season last year, we genuinely could not be worse than what we were last year, which is why we're in 6th. I think we had no place to go but up. We couldn't get any worse, okay? And Chris is shrugging his shoulders and shaking his head at me there.
No, but I agree with that. I agree with that point.
But was he given time? No. And I agreed with you yesterday, Chris, when we had the discussion. He wasn't given time, and he has done well with what he's had. But he came in, and this goes back to Ineos. It goes back to the board as well. They bought in a manager who was going to stick to 3-4-3, didn't give him what he was looking for, and expect him to work miracles. But it's a results business. And I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did, because some of the football we've seen over the last 14 months has been dire. Okay,
they haven't bought any manager.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. They haven't. But why would we expect them to back this manager now if that's the case? If we know they haven't backed any manager,
because we need to change. We need to change as a team. We need to change. You can't.
You and I can see that.
We kept doing it.
You and I can see that. But there's a reason why we're sat here arguing on a fan channel and not sat in the boardroom of United.
100%. I totally agree with you.
And I'm with you. We need to change, and he has done good. He's made a complete change to the culture of it. He got rid of Rashford. He got rid of Garnacho. He got rid of Sancho. He did great things while he was there, but the results on the pitch weren't great, which is why I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. And it seems to be a pissing contest now with himself and Ashworth, and that's why he got the bullet over anything. Was himself and Ashworth fell out. If we had beaten Leeds yesterday and beaten Wolves, if butts and coconuts, so if my uncle had balls, should be my uncle. But you know, if we'd beaten those teams, we wouldn't be having this discussion, and Amorim would still be in the job, because he wouldn't have had to come out last night and say he wasn't being backed. And it was his honesty got him the bullet. That's what it was. His honesty.
Well, but see, I was listening to Stephen Howson yesterday, and he went through the press conference because he listened. He said he heard it. He heard what people were saying about it, and then he actually went and listened to the whole press conference. I think what he said in the press conference got taken way out of context, because he's sitting there saying, I'm the manager. That guy does, Wilcox does the recruitment. This guy, Vavel does this. This guy does that. This is what he just pointed it out. He wasn't throwing shade at Wilcox.
But did he not say, I'm the manager, not the first team coach?
Yes, because there's a difference.
Yeah. So that implies he's a manager who's got full control. First team coach coaches the players that are bought for him. Manager picks the players that come in. Am I missing a distinction there?
Yes, but I mean, and that's the thing, and it's just like, but I don't agree with, they with the way that they had it set up is that unless there's a complete divide where Wilcox and Amorim just can't get along. And guess who's going to go? Low man on the totem pole, which is going to be Amorim compared to Wilcox.
We read last year reports that Wilcox directed the underage teams not to play the Amorim style and to move away from that, which is, I thought that Ineos were coming in to support the manager and play his style, so there was a transition throughout the years. So clearly, Wilcox never wanted him. And you and I saw the same report, Chris, that Wilcox, he wasn't a Wilcox man. Ashworth wanted Southgate. Thank fuck that didn't happen. And if Southgate's name gets mentioned in the possible replacements,
call the guards.
Yeah. But I mean, Wilcox clearly didn't back him. Wilcox clearly didn't rate him. Says a lot coming from Wilcox. You know, what has Wilcox done? You know, but it's, and I've always been suspicious of, if you go back, check the videos, I've always been suspicious of Wilcox and what he's been doing at United. But at the moment, he's the man who makes the decision, and Amorim's mouth got him the bullet.
And I agree with that. And I mean, it goes back to what we were saying in the group chat, is that, you know, not that he didn't want Sesko, but he wanted Oli Watkins, which Oli Watkins would have saved money and would have been a lot cheaper than Benjamin Sesko. Now it's a long term.
I've got to come in on that one, right? I'm sorry for interrupting you.
That's right.
And I understand your point. And from a fan standpoint, you want to have players who are going to come in, hit the ground running, score goals, happy days, get us up the table. But there is also an argument to say that Oli Watkins is 27, 28 years of age. And I understand.
You go calling my Ollie Watkins.
I understand you're going for another unproven player in the Premier League to lead the line for Manchester United. But if over the next 4 years he scores 60 to 70 goals, then, and I know it's ifs and buts, then that's where the payoff comes.
No, but I'm not. But here's the thing, though. At the point, and I'm only going to make this point, is that the whole reason I was going with the Oli Watkins thing is because from what I've read is that the demand on him was to get in the Europe again, whether it be Champions League or Europa or anything like that. And Amorim went out and said, if I need that, I need Premier League proven players. I need people that I know can score goals. I like Benjamin Sesko. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a very good player like you do, Jack. I think he could score a lot of goals going forward. But if you give him an unproven player that literally in the German league, he only scored 12 goals. It wasn't like he's Holland or, Ekitike that's scoring 20-some goals. He scored 12 in his best season there. Then you have to give him time. If you bring in Oli Watkins just this season and then this next summer transfer window or in the winter or whenever you want to do it, you go buy that young striker that you can put underneath him to learn. That's the route to go, and that's the way it should have went, because if you're demanding Europe and you're going to give him a 21, 22-year-old striker that's never played in the Prem, and don't get me wrong, again, I'm a Sesko fan. I think he's going to come true, but you have to give time for that. It's just like there's not many players that come to the Premier League from other leagues that hit the ground running.
Yeah,
there's maybe a handful.
I just want to come in there and that as well, though. These are Wilcox's rules again. Nobody over 25 were signing. So again, what is Wilcox bringing to the club? What is echoing Desi here? What's the ambition? If we're not bringing in experienced players to help a manager who needs help there, then of course he's going to fail.
I think we need, especially on the Sesko one. I wouldn't be leaning on Wilcox for this. I'd be leaning more so probably on Vivel for it.
Well, between the two of them,
Germany.
Yeah, but between the two of them, I mean, I'm sure Ravel is the one that pushed it, but Wilcox is the one that signed off on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ben knows, and everybody here knows, is that when the Watkins things, the rumors came in the summer, I was kind of like, and everything like that. But if it's true what they say that his job depended on getting into Europe, then how are you're gonna look at him and say honestly, you brought in Cunha and Mbumo. Those are the only two experienced players you brought in. Okay. Everybody else was youth. Diego Leon was youth. Aiden Heaven's youth. Lenny Euro's youth. I mean, they're all teenagers at this point. You name me a coach in the Prem right now. I don't care if it's Pep Guardiola, if it's Arteta, if it's whoever. You give them two center backs that are 19 years old, you're going to give up goals. I don't care what system you're playing. You're going to give up goals because they're not consistent enough players. They may have flashes of brilliance, but the consistency isn't going to be there because they're only 19. This is the problem. And I'm not saying, and it's a tough thing to do. How many youth players do you buy compared to how many experienced players you buy? But that's why they get paid the money they do, because they got to figure that shit out. And that's where it's at. Like the whole idea. I read a report that said Al-Hilal wants $15 million to buy Ruben Neves. That's 27 years old. That has Premier League experience. That's a world-class player and everything like that. Why has that not been done already? Unless it's a wage thing. That's the only thing I can say is if he wants too high of a wage, then we'll take a pass. But at the same time, you insert him with Casemiro, with Ugarte, with Bruno, with whoever, in a 4-3-3, in a 4-4-2, whatever, we're a better team. And that's going to get you to where you need to go. Is he a long-term answer?
Did you just say we're a better team in 4-4-2?
We could be.
Because that's what I heard.
Well, that's what Darren Fletcher came out and said he's playing.
Right, let me get to some of the comments here.
Yes, again. Sign him up. Give him 5 years.
Let me get through some of the comments here because we're going to get on to Darren Fletcher now in a second. Big A says Ineos are a joke, the Glazers are a joke. They need to sell up and move on because they haven't a clue how to run the club. Any manager that comes in is not going to get to run the club to their way. Danica says we scream for tailor-made players for every manager, then wonder why we have to hit the reset button every time. I think Ineos handle recruitment very well. Karian says, Desi, you're bang on. A complete lack of ambition, all centered around the Glazers. Daryl says the Glazers do have a plan, lads, is take as much money from United to invest in Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, that's pretty spot on, in fairness.
They don't invest in the Buccaneers. I can tell you that right now.
They're not.
That's an untrue statement.
Right, okay. Story for another day. Let me see. David says Ten Hag was criticized for not creating an identity. No one knew the style. Amorim had a clear style and stuck to it. To fully implement a team style culture, etc., would always take time. Let me see. 100% agree with Oshin, says Darrell. D is in. He says, well, lads, I want Ineos out sharply too. They want a head coach in and not a manager that eliminates any elite level. That eliminates any elite level manager wanting to come near. None of those required want to be a yes man. And this board aren't allowing the manager, head coach, master puppet make their own signings. So we need to get onto this little, where do we stand then, Oshin, on what should the balance be? Should it be the manager we've had managers coming in buying their own players, and was it Danica is the opposite, said we had to hit the reset button then when you change a manager. Now I think an awful lot of it came down to manager recruitment as well. You pick one style of a manager, then a completely different one, then a completely different one. Where do we stand on who makes the decision? Should it be a collective, or should the manager be in control, or should it be
Well, look, I mean, you all know I'm a kind of dinosaur when it comes to my views on football, and I think the manager should have the final word. He should go with his list of players A, B, C, and D. Give me those, and I know where I'm going to play them, how I'm going to play them. We haven't seen that since Ferguson. We haven't, and a lot of fans our age will look back to Ferguson and say that was the way to run a club. United haven't been run that way in coming up to 15 years now, 16 years, however long it is. 13 years. We'll say he retires in 13. So, the way United is run now, and it's all we can comment on really, is it seems to be he'll go with a position that he wants, and they'll find the player for that position that suits how they want to play.
Yeah.
And that's never going to work, because you're never going to get the man to work with the manager in that position, because the player themselves know they're not the manager's man. And they know that they're not going to pay the ultimate price. The manager is, regardless of how they play. The manager is the first one and the easiest one to go out the door, which is why we were burdened for so many years with the likes of Sancho and Rashford and, so on and so on and so on. What needs to happen is, and I agree with was it D said there, we won't get any elite level managers. I don't think we will. I don't think the manager that we want as fans will not come to United at the minute, because why would they? Why would they? They're not going to be allowed to make their choices. They're not going to be allowed to play how they want to. They're going to have to answer to Wilcox, Barad, and Vivell. Why would they come to do that? Unless we're becoming the new Chelsea, which is a guaranteed pension pot for certain managers coming in to get payoff after 18 months, which is not where I want to go. Coming back to the transfers, I think I hate the term head coach. It reminds me of, sorry, Chris, the American football. That's just crap.
No, I get it.
You know, where players are selected by a committee and then given to them during a draft. It's just, that's not how soccer for the Americans and football for us normal people should be. You know, the manager picks the team, picks the first 11. He should be able to pick his pool of players that he wants to pick from. But at the moment, it seems to be we'll give you who you can pick based on what we want to play and how we want to play, regardless of your system that you were renowned for and we're doing great stuff with in Portugal. And you're going to come in and you're going to do it our way with the players we give you, which is why for so long we're seeing Delo and Shaw play out of position. We're seeing players that have no business being at United anymore. And the two I mentioned there again would be prime examples. But that's not going to change while Ineos are there. And Ineos aren't going anywhere. And I'm sorry to say to Desi as well, and this, I'm not going to open this can of worms, but it's a question. As fans, how do we get rid of the Glazers? How do we get rid of the Ineos? What can we do? It's not going to happen. So I get your frustration, Desi, but I don't want to say it's wasted energy, but it's not going to change. They're not going anywhere. So we're going to have to find a way as fans to work around that and get behind the club a different way. You know what I'm saying?
It's just becoming at this stage, Ocean. Do you know? And that my biggest fear for this.
I'm not saying I accept it, but I'm saying what can we do to change it? And how do we change it? I'm not saying I like it.
I don't. The big problem for me as a Man United fan, and I've won since before I even landed here because I had no choice. All my family are Man United supporters. We lived there, and the biggest concern for me right now is that we barely come to terms as fans to accept this behaviour of what's been happening, because we've gotten into it in the most unnatural way possible. And my biggest fear as a Manchester United fan is what I see and what I witness on the telly and what I see from reports and stuff from around Manchester United, is that at some stage we are slowly drifting away, and we might just become a team in the top half of the table. My biggest concern is that, and that's really disappointing, because when Sir Alex Ferguson left this club, when we talk about behind the scenes and how things were worked and how things were operated, he did leave an identity behind him. And he did call the shots there when it came to picking players and who he wanted. And everybody was nearly on the same page. Okay, as we said there, who should have the power? I think we do. I would lean more towards the manager, but obviously the owners have to have a say. But there has to be some sort of scenario where you and the owners are on the same page, and you want the same thing, and you want the same end goal. Whereas right now, what we see is the owners aren't on the same page as any manager at the minute. And that's what concerns me, because we can go on, they keep getting a free pass every time it happens. Because what happens to United fans is now, because we've got so used to what's been going on, is we will go now with Darren Fletcher until the summer. And we don't know how that's going to go. And then we'll get all excited and all built up again, and there'll be, yes, manager in, and it's great again, and we'll throw one or two players at them. We'll crack on into the next season. We'll get a reaction out of these players because we've shown before that they can do it for I don't know how many games. It won't be long enough anyway. And then before you know it, shit'll hit the van again, because there's no real ambition behind this club. We're from the top down, we're not on the same page. And the inevitable happens. We sack another manager. And that's where you'll see United will slowly creep into just being a top half of the table team. And we'll be so far behind the rest of the other teams that it'll be an impossible task to catch up with them.
Yeah, I guess so. Sorry, Ben, go again.
That's the whole thing with the reset thing, though, because like we've done with managers, if you're not going to give a manager more than 2 years, you're going to have to reset every time.
And then, just as you say that, that's why I was so happy seeing Jim Radcliffe coming out and saying that. And I did mention it on the show. I was so happy that he grounded us as a club and said, you know what, we're not going to accept this any this behaviour or any this carry on from players. I'm going to ground us here. And that's what I got from it. Maybe I took it totally wrong. And I thought, on you, because we actually need that right now. And no matter what happens, we're going to stay together on this, and we're going to back it all the way.
Yeah.
And
that's what he said when it's done on for 3 years. That's what he said in October.
Yeah. That's
look what I mean, and I know it was about 3 weeks ago what Blackner said at Crystal Palace. He said something far worse than what Amorim said. He goes, "Yeah, we're not good enough teams. Got to get the backing."
He knows he's going to be leaving in the summer, though. That's the difference.
But everything that he said is worse than what Amorim said, and he's still there. And they're below us in the table and everything like that. So you sit there, and I know his name came up as a person to replace Amorim. That's what he plays.
The biggest thing is that, though, we're in a vicious cycle now, and it needs to stop.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it stops. I don't know how the fans can get involved in it. Would I be right in saying, Jack, and you can answer this for yourself, yeah? At this point, right now as we speak, the Glazers have been in control of the club for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
It's 21 years.
Okay, and whether we like it or not, and whether us are in there as, the head of football and all this crap, they still own the club.
Yeah, they're the majority shareholders.
Yeah, and if they sell up, Cliff on your bike, see you later, we're selling, and that's just the way it works. At this point, are we not entitled as fans? And I know it'll never happen, but I think it should happen because we have a right as fans. Because I have more passion in my big toe than any of those for this club. Have we not got the right as fans to sit them down, whatever the fan club is, the die-hard fans that have the rights to this, to sit them down and ask them, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
They want to.
It's been tried. It's been tried for years. They will not do it.
No, they won't.
And then the next thing to that is, Jack, when's it going to change? Because they're not giving us answers. So this is not going to change. This is going to be the same vicious cycle over and over again until we start to get answers off the people that own Manchester United.
But to Desi's point, this isn't as much as the Glazers are the majority shareholders, and we know the problems that they pose and everything like that. Ineos is in control of the footballing side. So these are questions that Ineos need to answer first. And if Ineos wants to pass the buck to the Glazers, I'm sure they will. But at the same time, Ineos needs to answer this, because sit Wilcox down, sit Pavel down, sit these guys down and sit there and say, WTF, what are you guys doing? What's the idea? Because segueing into the next topic of managers, 2 out of the 4 managers that were discussed play a 3-4-3 exclusively. Tuchel plays it, and so does Glasner. Right. I mean, so why would you even consider those if you want to play a back four, Mr. Wilcox? Please,
right. First and foremost, right, let's move away from the Amorim side of things, and let's talk a little bit for a minute about Darren Fletcher, because he is going to be the interim manager for at least the next 2 games. All right, and you know me trying to be the what?
They said he's there till summer.
No.
Yeah, I heard a report of that.
That was the last I heard as well, that he's there till the summer.
Yeah,
he's there till the summer. They're not gonna get any manager until the summer, so he's there till summer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. He's there till the summer. Right. Let me be a beacon of positivity here and see what potentially we can get out of this. Right. Let's say, Darren Fletcher comes in. He has he would have a relationship with all of the players already, because he's been there. He's been involved on the technical director side. He moved to the under-18s. The under-18s are playing very good football. I know the under-18s and the Manchester United first team is vastly different. But let's say he comes in, he plays 4-3-3, takes the shackles off, he lets him play with a bit of freedom. Top 4 is on, right? It is on, right? It is, because we're there. We're there. We've stumbled our way into 6th, and everyone else around us continues to drop points. And I mentioned it last week. I said, if one of the teams can get their act together, they'll have a very easy run to the Champions League spots, right? And this is all hypothetical. Let's say we get Champions League football. You can attract a better manager. You can attract better players.
But then
is
I'll
for
push back on you, Jack. If Darren Fletcher does that and gets you Champions League and the shackles come off and we're playing attractive football, why would you change it then?
Because you're not going to make the same mistake as you did with Ollie.
But then you're going to bring in a manager that's going to put the shackles back on, and that's going to change the system for what just got you to the Champions League. I mean, going by what you said, because I heard what Rio said today about how Darren Fletcher U18s are phenomenal, and they play all go. Well, guess what? They're 18 years old. They can play all go. And guess what they do as an 18-year-old? They listen. They don't. There's no backlash from a player on the 18-year-old squad.
I don't think there's a lot of that going on with this squad, though. To be honest with you, like we mentioned, the Garnachos, the Sanchos, the Rashfords are gone. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying.
The one thing we can say about Amorim getting sacked, that's different to every other manager since Ferguson that got sacked, is that the players were still on his side. And I think every other manager before Amorim got sacked, you could tell it was the end game because they'd lost the dressing room. And I don't think that happened with Amorim.
But then answer my question, and I'll pose it to the group. If Fletcher gets us there, and we play attractive Sir Alex type of football, 4-3-3, we're going after it, 4-4-2, we're going after it, and we're playing all out. Where it doesn't change, even if you're winning 2-1 or 2-0 or 3-0, it's all out football, and that's what we're doing. Why would you change them then?
Well, I'll tell you why you would change it is because what happened with Solskjaer was he had no pressure on him because he was the interim manager. And the second he gets a contract as the main man, the pressure comes on. And I know there's pressure there if you're an interim, but you're only there until the summer. And I think that would be the same with Fletcher. If he's only there till the summer, he knows the 25th of May or whenever the season ends, I'm out the gap regardless of what happens. He can, he can be at ease himself. He can let the players play with the shadow. Whatever he decides to do, he can do it. But if he's given a 4-year contract or a 2-year contract and say, right, you're the man now, here we go, all of a sudden, oh, fuck. And that's what happened with Solskjaer. If you remember, he went on that amazing run. As soon as he was made permanent, all of a sudden, we took a massive nosedive and it took him months to recover it.
But wouldn't that be true for any manager that you bring in after Fletcher? Because now they're going to always be compared to Fletcher. Look what Fletcher did with the same group.
Yeah, well, it depends what manager you bring in. You know what I mean? Like,
if he gets Champions
right,
League,
let me pose this to you then, Desi and Ben and Oisin and Chris. Is there any positives to Fletcher being appointed as interim manager? Moving on. Anyone?
That's a mad question because how can we even answer that?
I understand. Yeah.
He has he coaches the under 18s. He's never coached the level.
We have to wait and see.
If it was to be an ex-player for me, it'd be Michael Carrick.
Yeah, but
if
Michael
Carrick pick somebody. No, but I'm just saying in terms if you're going to pick somebody.
Yeah.
Because he's got more experience, hasn't he? Fletcher's good like with no experience.
If Fletcher gets Champions League, Jim Radcliffe will definitely throw a contract out.
Exactly.
I don't think so, lads. I don't think so.
Because he'd be a yes man at that. He'd be exactly what they want. He would do exactly.
The reason he's in the dugout is because he's a yes man at the minute. That's the only reason.
Exactly. That's what they want. And if he does well, there you go, kid. Thanks very much. There's no pressure on us anymore. Thank you. We'll wait till you're downfall now, and then we'll come after you.
The only possible positive is he might give you a chance. At being the under 18s, he might bring a few of them through towards the end of the season.
The only positive that comes from Fletcher is that Kobe Mainoo might get a bit more game time then. That's the only positive I can see the whole thing.
Well, I can guarantee
Kobe Mainoo would have got more game time now if he wasn't hurt.
I don't think Mainoo's hurt, guys. I mean, there's no way he's hurt. Not a notion. They're setting him up for a January move while Amorim was there, and now Amorim's gone. You'd see him come back into the squad.
Look, you know what I mean? Closing in on a return from injury, he's back on grass. Well, how convenient, 10 hours after the manager that wouldn't play them gets sacked. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Kobe Mainoo was ever injured, to be honest with you. Right. Before we finish up then, of course, we need to talk about, who's potentially going to, be a replacement if it is in the summer or if something comes up sooner or whatever the case may be. And look, there's been loads of rumors. This is just one article in the Telegraph. Oliver Glasner, Roberto De Zerbi, Farioli from Porto, Marco Silva, Iriola. There's been talks of maybe Thomas Tuchel after the World Cup. He's got a short-term contract with England. Nagelsmann's name has been in there. Xavi has been in there. I'll go around the houses with you. I'll start with Oisin. I'll start with you on my right. Who would you like to see?
None of them. I don't think any of those are who we need. The person that we need at United is a winner with authority. You need an Ancelotti type player, someone who's going to go back in.
Thomas Tuchel?
He'll come in for a week and fight with Wilcox and be back on the plane before he packs his bag. You know, what we need is a player who knows how to win things, or a manager who knows how to win things. Show the players what it takes to win things, because there's no one in that club now who's won anything of note. A couple of FA Cups, a couple of Coca-Cola Cups, what are they called now? Carabao? You know, a couple of worthless cups, you know what I mean? But I mean, that's a flashback to how fucking old I am. But I mean, but we don't have any players in there who knows what it's like to win. And we need a manager to come in to show them what it takes to be a winner. I mean, I saw reports Solskjaer wants to come back. No.
So is Mourinho.
No. I would take Mourinho because I think he's got unfinished business there. And now that the Glazers aren't there and Pogba's not there, he might have a better crack at the whip. He's a bit older, a bit more mature now. Football's not the most exciting, but do we not need to be pragmatic at the moment and just get a foundation to build from?
Oh,
I'd take Mourinho till the end of the summer. I would.
I would hate
just
Mourinho
to build something. But of that list, if those were the people that were put in front of me, gun to my head, Glasner or Areola out of Bournemouth, just because of Premier League experience. That's all.
Right.
They know what the league is like.
Ben, who are you thinking?
I agree with Oisin with it on the list, to be honest with you. I won't have any of them. But like you just said with Gunter, I'd go with Glasner. I had a choice of them. If you had a choice, I'd go with Glasner.
Well, just saying, lads, I'm top of the first division with the B team in Kilkenny. Like, you know what I mean? I'm there if you need me. You know what I mean?
Fletcher wants number 2, Jack, if you're available for Tuesday night.
Now, here's a good question before we go on to it. Who does Fletcher bring in as an assistant? Because all of Amorim's staff are going to have to go with him.
They've already done it, haven't they? I've seen it tonight. They've brought in the under-18. What is one of the coaches with him?
Oh, shit. This is Chelsea all over again.
It's ideal just to get Keane.
It could be worse, guys. It could be McPhelan he brings back with him.
No,
I
just
would
get
love
Keane.
to see Keane.
Just get Keane. Could you imagine? I'm going to the Derby on the 17th. Could you imagine Keane walking out of that tunnel and 75,000 people just going, Keano, like 20 years ago? Oh,
Guys, look, I put it in the group chat. There's one reason Keane will never go back into that club.
Because
That's
Bruno.
why Sir Alex is still involved in there.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Right, Desi, go on. Give us your managerial appointment. Who would you like to see?
Well, I have a great idea.
Oh, shit.
Find them fucking all, because if we sack one, we'll have soap as the managers left over. That's what I'm saying. Because they're guaranteed in the next fucking 2 years, he's getting the bullet. He's getting the bullet. Jack, I don't know. My head's not even thinking about another manager at this stage. And to be quite honest with you, I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. And that's being honest. I just want to see United have a structure in place, a plan in place, and I'll be happy as a pig at you.
Right. Go on then, Chris. Finishes out.
I think you got to, that list there, De Zerbi did nothing after he left Brighton. You got Areola, and you got, what's his name? The two from Bournemouth, Glasner. I would say, I would lean towards Glasner, but here's my issue is Thomas Frank is experiencing this. When you go from a smaller club to a bigger club, and this is what happens.
Let me change the dynamic a little bit then, Chris, and ask you, do we need a project manager or a win now manager? Like, do you need a Mourinho or do you need a Ten Hag? But you know what I mean in terms of style.
I understand what you're saying. I think we need a project manager, to be honest with you, because if you get a win now manager and the board's going to do a win now kind of scenario, then we're going to be back at square one again. Because when when you don't win now, then all of a sudden you're resetting and resetting. I think you need to bring someone in, and that's why I kind of say Glasner a little bit, because you bring someone in, maybe he can, if that brings Adam Wharton in with him, or or anything like that, because Glasner plays a similar style, which we've seen at Crystal Palace, which we've seen works when he has the right players. He has Cunha, he has Mbumo, he has Ahmad. If he gets in midfield, I think that Glasner could do it. But again, I have the fear of when the Glasners, the Areolas, all the younger managers that play at smaller Premier League clubs. Thomas Frank is going through it. They're not used to dealing with the stars and the pressure of a big club. Look what Frank had with Jed Spence, which he's not even a star, but Mickey Van de Ven, the disrespect there. I guess it's all better now, but I think that's what going along with what Oshin said. I think the one guy that I would look at is Nagelsmann, to be honest with you.
I like Nagelsmann. Yeah. Now he would come in. He would come in as kind of a. I know you'd like to call him a yes man, but he's a very, very, very good coach.
But he is, and if you watch him play, or watch or listen or read about what he's done, and what we've all cried out for, he will make in-game adjustments. He will do things that he'll strategically. He will make changes, and he'll do what we've been crying for Amorim to do, is be more lenient on. Okay, maybe we need to change this or move this here and do that there, and everything. And I think going along with that, he's a young enough person, a younger enough guy that he could be here. Because I honestly want someone long term. I want someone that has the ability to win now, but also will be here long term and set up a structure. Because I think
what's long term, Chris? Because there is, outside of Guardiola, there is no long term managers anymore.
I want someone here that's going to be here for 5 years, because 5 years will give him the opportunity to win. Win within the first year, 2 years, you're going to win a couple trophies and everything like that. But then within 5 years, you may be able to compete for Champions League. You may not compete, but compete in Champions League. You may win a European Cup, and everything like that. You're going to win those games. But he's gonna exactly. But he's gonna build upon, and I think from reading about him, he has a similar attitude of what he expects from players. Because the one thing I'd say about Mourinho is, and I hate bringing his name, but Rashford said you never knew what you were going to get with Mourinho. One day it was good, one day it was this, one day it was that. It's not a clear culture at that point, and everything like that. And I think we need someone that's going to build upon what the good things Amorim did, and then take us to the next level. But as Desi points out, it's going to be tough, because it's, the biggest thing is that we touched on a little bit, is that the board, whoever you want to put in the board, and everything like that, this is their chance to get it right. If they don't get it right, then it's on them, because they already got it wrong once. And,
Twice.
Well, Ten Hag, and then with Amorim, and I think they got really wrong with Amorim, because I like Amorim. Everybody knows that. But you interviewed him. You knew what he was doing, and you knew what he was about. Then why did you even hire him? If you knew he was staunch in what he did, and maybe they said, but we're going to bring you to weed out everybody because you're no nonsense. And maybe that was the plan all along.
Do you know what, Chris? In the most bittersweet way there, you kind of touched on it, is that the owners now themselves have kind of put themselves in a scenario where I think there's more Man United fans more aware of what's going on now, that the pressure's on them now too. This is not just about the manager anymore, because they've backed themselves into a corner here, and we're not going to take it for much longer. So
I think that's why Desi Fletcher won't get it full time.
Yeah, and you know what, Jack, you could be right, but at the same time, Jack, in the most, I didn't want to be saying it, but Ruben Amorim getting sacked has actually put a lot more onus now back onto the owners, because they have to make serious changes at this club. Because if they don't, if we don't see protests now, we will most definitely, if things go belly up this time next year, when we're sitting here on the same scenario, the shit's going to hit the fan, and it's going to hit the fan bad this time around, because there's not much more we can do, Jack. We've tried all different managers with different tactics, with different setup, and they've continuously not backed these managers. And it's now going to get to a stage for them, And I'm delighted because it does make sense now. They have actually backed themselves into their own corner at this point.
You know, it's funny though.
Jack, there's no way you can say in another year's time you're going to sit here and be comfortable with the fact if they sack another manager, Jack.
Yeah.
I may buy one less jersey, but but at the same time, but you know what's funny though, Jack, on that list that you put, you know what name is not on there, which I find very surprising. Kieran McKenna.
Yeah, his name has been mentioned. Now that's just one article that I pulled up there from Twitter. His name has been mentioned as well. Like if we look at like there's news stories breaking like this one. Like there's and you know what's annoyed me actually is all of the players' Instagram posts about the manager is literally copy and paste every single one of them. You know what I mean? It fucking does me head in. So it does. The only one that's anyway different is Matheus Cunha because he has a bit of fucking character about him. But like even this, look, something is up about Amorim after hiring all his best mates to be coaching staff and getting a big fat payout. Look who liked it at the bottom. You know what I mean? It's this kind of shit that I hate. Like, you know what I mean? Garnacho liked a tweet about Amorim getting sacked this morning. He's just a little scummy fucker, is all he is. But look, I mean, ultimately, to be anyway positive, like we get all of the players back from AFCON injury free. Hopefully, get Bruno back and whatever the case may be. I think there's a very good 4-3-3 team there. You know what I mean? Like you talk about Mazraoui, Shaw, De Ligt, and Martinez. Take your pick between Ugarte, Casemiro, Bruno, and Menu as a midfield three, and then you've got Sesko, Cunha, and Mbeumo. And that's not even including Ahmad or Mount or Yoro. You know what I mean? Dorgu, fucking Delo as cover. I think there's a lot to be positive about the squad that we have. It's by nowhere near the finished article. But I agree with what you said. The right decision now has to be made, whether that's in the summer. Around a full-time manager, because if they don't, I agree with you. We'll be back to square one in 2 years' time again.
I just looked. Cameroon won yesterday, so Mbeumo's not coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, there is Mazraoui and Mbeumo are playing each other, so one of them is coming home soon.
And Ahmad plays tomorrow.
Yeah,
Wednesday. He plays Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got players like that quality in squads like that, they're going to be getting to the latter stages. You know what I mean? Right, boys. We'll leave it there for now. Wednesday night game anyway, so I'm sure I'll see you for that, and we'll converge on or convene again on in the live chat. But look, thanks for.
Are we gonna have a group watch along on Wednesday night?
No, I think that would just be too much fireworks for one fucking night. Let's let the dust settle, and we'll
I'll change that theme tune to Darren Fletcher's going to bring the glory days back.
Yeah. I just need to get the Stretford end to sing it first, so I can put it in as the audio. Boys, appreciate it. I'll chat to you Wednesday. All right, gentlemen. Take it easy. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching and listening as well, guys. If you haven't done so already, do smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. On the road to 15,000 subscribers. Look, a disappointing day. Ruben Amorim was sacked. You never like any manager losing his job, and I wanted him to be successful and I wanted it to work, but ultimately it didn't. So Darren Fletcher for the foreseeable. We'll move on. I'll have the match preview up around lunchtime tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. Turn on notifications, like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll chat to you tomorrow. Take it easy.